Hello and welcome to Worthy Woman Healing, healing women's minds, bodies, and souls, one trigger at a time. I am Elliana Faith Ceizyk, your host. Don't forget to like, rate, review, subscribe, all the things so even more women can get healed in their mind, body, and soul. On today's episode, I have a very special guest, one of my favorite people in the world. Probably my favorite guest I'll ever have. No offense to any of my other guests. She happens to be a former frozen embryo. She is a singer-songwriter, a political science major who is actually going to be graduating in December. She runs Worthy Woman Retreats with me and Worthy Woman Healing Group, and her name is Elliana Faith Ceizyk. And I have to tell you that her name, Elliana Faith, means God has answered my prayer with faith, because we tried for 6 years to have this beautiful soul. 6 years, 11 IVF, $70,000. I'm sending you a bill when you graduate from college.
Oh, well.
So anyway, I wanted to have Elliana on. You're going to be seeing a lot more of Elliana on Worthy Woman Healing Podcast, because she helps me facilitate the Worthy Woman Healing groups. She is the reason we even ever had the very first Worthy Woman Healing retreat back in Destin, Florida. It was her brainchild when she was only 14 years old. The child never been on a retreat, ever. And yet she came up with this idea to have a retreat. It's all my book, Portal Tears, if you ever wanted to read about it. So anyway, Elliana gets to do something that maybe, I don't know, is this something every kid wants to do? I have no idea. She is going to be interviewing me today.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know the question she's asking, so this is going to be quite interesting. Is there anything you would like to say before we get started, Elliana? Maybe why are we even part of Worthy Woman Healing?
Well, when we went back to Arizona after moving to New York City, and we were sitting in our old empty house that was my childhood home, having to basically like give it away or whatever. I remember you were sitting there on the phone with Dad, crying, bawling your eyes out because you didn't want to lose the house. And I was looking around, and I just had this weird like vision pop into my head of women on a retreat at that house. We had a really beautiful backyard and pool, and it was so spacious. And I just saw these women there getting healed. So I got out my phone and I wrote down, at the time, a 14-day retreat.
Can you imagine 14 days with us?
I remember you were like, "What are you doing? I'm trying to have a pity party." And I was like, "But Mom, we could do retreats together. That would be so cool." And then, as we would have it, we ended up doing a retreat like 6 months later in Destin, Florida, and my brainchild came to life. So
it's so true. I feel like God speaks to me through you so many times in my life. It's so crazy, because at 14, never being on a retreat, I didn't even know you knew what the word retreat even meant. Not that you were a child. I don't mean that. I just didn't, but it's just crazy. And it is true. I was like, I just wanted to have my pity party. And this child is like, no, I'm sobbing, and she's just typing away. And then when we sat down and wrote out our first retreat, it just flowed. It just totally flowed out of us. And everyone, I don't know if I told you this or not, but your dad and Nana and Paka, everybody was like, "What, are you crazy? She's 14. And if you're a mom out there of a teenager, or have ever been a mom of a 14-year-old, drop in comments, right? It can be like this. I don't know any mom that hasn't had like some friction happening and conflict happening. It's normal, right? As a teenager. And so we would get into fights, and they're like, "You guys are going to be fighting all the time." And it was remarkable how we kept our stuff together. We were like,
we really did. Yeah.
It was quite, and it was weird too. It was like, you were always 2 steps ahead of me. Like, you know what I mean? People
Mhm.
noticed that too, that we didn't really talk to each other. We just kind of knew it was coming next. And so you would prepare, or I would prepare.
Yeah, the
When I had a
brainwaves.
meltdown, I left a lot of time, free time for the retreat participants, but not for me. Do you remember that day?
Yes, I do. That was a rough day. It was. I remember you were in between one-on-one clients, and I was bringing you your food and coffee, and you were like, "I'm so tired."
I was
Yeah,
crying. I was
you
trying
were.
because then there was the last day and we still had to
Mhm.
do, I was doing all my one-on-ones that I do on the retreats, and then we still had to do dinner and
Yep.
then the healing. The way we end the retreats, for anybody who's interested in going on retreats, the way we end the retreat is so special.
Mhm.
It is just, I don't
It
even want to
is.
give it away. We call it,
No.
well, now we'll call it the Worthy Woman Warrior Healing Circle, is what we'll call it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it is so special. I knew it would
Mhm.
take a lot out of me to do
Yeah.
that. So we are redoing the retreat since then.
Yeah.
And I have a
Yeah.
little more breathing time.
Yes, so you can recharge.
Yes, exactly. So yeah, and now you do the Worthy Woman Healing Group with me.
Mhm. Yeah, which I really love, being able to work with all the women and then, bring them on retreats and just see the healing work that we do together. It's really, really fun.
And I love it because we have mothers and daughters in the group.
Yeah.
And the
Yeah.
daughters are your age and the moms are my age. We didn't plan it that way. It just kind of happened that
No, it
way.
just happened to be, yeah.
So, yeah, it's really nice that to have you balance that, right? And
Mhm.
then just to hear, for them to even hear, hey, it's normal. What you're going through with your mom, what you're going through
Yeah.
with your daughter is normal. Because in my book, which you still haven't read, I didn't want her to read the book because it's about how I got in the best shape of my life and then I got sex trafficked. So there's a lot of stuff in there that I thought was too heavy for her. Now she could read it. But
Mhm.
before I was like, I don't want you reading this quite yet. And now I've totally lost my train of thought. Where was I going with that?
Mothers and daughters?
Oh, yes, thank you.
Yeah.
You see, this is what I need her. She's my memory. I'm getting older, so my memory is slipping.
Oh,
Anyway, the one thing that stood out that I got the most feedback on, people were fascinated by our relationship. We're like the
mhm.
Gilmore Girls. Any other Gilmore Girls fans? Drop
Oh,
in comments.
yeah.
Luke, drop in comments your favorite Gilmore Girl character.
Yeah.
Which mine is actually Emily. I love
I do
Emily.
love Emily. I do.
Who's your favorite?
Um, I would say I really love Jess's character development.
Of course you do, because you want the
Listen,
bad boy. You want
no,
to date the
no,
bad boy that I can't stand.
he starts off really bad, but then he grows and he becomes like a very stable, solid guy at the end. And he should have been the end game with Rory. That's all I'm
That
going to
is
say about
true.
that.
That is
I do
very true.
also love Luke, though. I really love Luke.
And we have our own Luke right here in
We
Tennessee.
do. We
Except
do.
his name is John and he runs a smoothie shop, but he wears shorts and a t-shirt. But
Hmm.
he is our local Luke. We have our own
Personality
local Luke.
wise. Yeah.
Anyway, we said, yeah, you are right. You said we're going to go off on tangents, and we are.
Yeah, I knew.
But it was so interesting to me because I didn't, I wrote the book obviously and lived it, experienced it, but I didn't even realize how it would impact other moms reading the book, saying, how did you do that? How did you go through everything you went through
Hmm.
and still remain close to your daughter like that? To the point where like she's going on retreats with you and
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't have an answer for that because it's just who we are. Like
Yeah. That's always
I
been.
don't feel like I ever did anything intentionally, or I don't know. I feel like we both kind of grew up alongside of each other, came into our own
Yeah. I will
and
say,
found
though,
Jesus.
yeah, you're a very, like, intentional mom, though, like, you're always asking, like, how I'm doing and, like, wanting to hang out and get coffee and stuff, so I think even throughout everything that you're going through, you really still made it a point to be intentional and, like, keep our relationship strong, which is why, like, even now, like, as I'm going into, like, adulthood, it's still like we're still really close because of the fact that you've never stopped making an effort since I came into the world.
Maybe that's because it took so much effort to bring you into the
Yeah,
world that,
probably.
you know, now this poor child's probably like, okay, you can back off a little.
I'm like, "Yeah, okay, I'm okay. I mean, I need you, but I'm also like, yeah, no, I don't know."
I guess that is true. I guess for me, it's weird to not ask your kid, when I say how are you, I don't mean how are your grades, you
Yeah.
know, do you have a job? Are you making, I don't mean like that. I'm asking about your
No,
heart.
you're
Like,
asking,
how
like,
is your
"How's my
heart?
heart?" Yeah, that's exactly what I was gonna say. Mhm.
And if you give me the F word, fine. That's a bad word in our family. Fine. It's a bad, because it's
Yeah.
like, I'm fine. I'm fine. You are so not fine. But the two of us, it is weird how we can read each other's minds.
Mhm.
As a mom, it
Yeah.
drives me crazy because there's some things I don't want to share with you, and you're like, "What's
Right.
wrong? I can tell something's wrong."
I'm like, "The vibes are off."
But I see it in you too. I know
Yeah.
instantly something's wrong with you.
Mhm.
So I guess it's just intuition, and I don't know. Come on our mother-daughter retreat. Bring your daughter, bring your mom, bring someone who's like a mom to you, right? And if you don't
Yeah.
have a mom or anyone that's like your mom, I'll be your mom, right? I'm
Yeah,
your mama bear. All your friends call me mama bear.
they do. Yeah. Yeah,
Because
it's true.
I have one child, so I feel like I've collected more daughters along the way. All the
Yeah.
friends that you have, I look at them
Mhm.
like my own daughters.
Yep.
We even call Becca our daughter.
We do.
Imagine this. Imagine next December, in the middle of the hustle and bustle of the holidays, when you're usually doing all this stuff for everyone else, exhausting yourself, you take 4 nights and 5 days just for you. Imagine, right? No responsibilities, no kids, no husband, no job, no Christmas shopping, no wrapping presents, just 4 nights and 5 days all to yourself to fill your cup. So when you get back in time for Christmas, your cup is overflowing and you end up not being exhausted at the end of the holiday season, not getting that flu you always get, not getting that cold you always get, but feeling revitalized, refired, recharged, renew before the new year even begins. If this sounds like something you're interested in, click the link below and sign up. And the best part is, you get to join Worthy Woman Healing Group from now until when the retreat starts. So you'll be healing alongside of all the other retreat participants, all the other women on the retreat, and we can celebrate in the Caribbean next December in a healed state. Woo! I can't wait. And remember, you are worth it. So, all right, do we have time to answer a few questions here? You're
Yeah,
going to
let's do
ask
it.
me some questions.
Yes. I've been waiting.
And
Okay.
I think I need to peace process first. My heart's racing. I'm like, what is she going to
You'll be
ask me?
you'll be fine. Okay. So in Worthy Women Healing, we do a lot of inner child work and healing our little girls. So I wanted to ask you, is there anything you would change about your childhood?
Well, there's nothing I would change about my childhood because my childhood shaped who I am today and why I do what I do today.
Mhm.
And like, I never experienced any abuse growing up. My abuse happened as an adult. Well, it started as a teenager, and then that same predator preyed upon me as an adult.
Mhm.
But for me, growing up, I always heard, shh, shh, don't talk so loud. people can hear you. I mean,
Mhm.
God forbid people hear me, right? So
Yeah.
I got this message that I was too much. I was too
Mhm.
loud. I needed to be quiet. I needed to not be myself, right? Especially like in public, they'd be like, "You're laughing so loud. Stop laughing so loud." Now, do I look back and hold, any grudge or resentment towards my parents or my grandparents or anyone that told me that? No, not at all, right?
Mhm.
Because they're doing the best they can. But when you're on a healing journey and you start to realize, why am I not speaking out for myself? Like I was very much a people pleaser because of that.
Yeah.
I was very shy. I didn't want to raise my hand in class or anything, right? And I didn't want to be too loud. So it's kind of, and my worst fear was speaking in public. And
Yeah.
now
That makes
look what
sense.
I do
Yeah.
for a living, right?
Yeah.
So I wouldn't change it though. And I would encourage everyone, like, it's not about going back and wishing that that didn't happen because you can't change that. All you can do now is learn from it. And I'm a big believer in God takes your mess and turns it into your ministry. So for me, my mess, right? My history, or another way to put it is God takes your history and turns it into your ministry. And it's my ministry now to give women a voice, right? That's what we do in Worthy Women Healing, the
Mhm.
group, the retreat, especially on the podcast though, because now I'm having
Yeah.
all these women come on sharing their stories for the first time ever, giving them a voice.
Yeah.
So yes, does that answer your question, Eliana?
I think so, but I kind of want to ask a similar question to that. Do you think you're fully healed from those feelings in your childhood based on what we do in Worthy Woman?
I think that okay, I'm gonna tell you know this about me, right? You
Mhm.
shush me and the shit's going down. Like
Yeah, or you
someone's
or
gonna
like
get
be
cut.
quiet or calm down? Nah. Mm-mm.
So I don't think like I think healing is a journey, right?
Yeah.
I don't think we're fully healed until we meet Jesus one day,
That's yeah.
you know, because so what I say, how do you know if you're healed? You know if you're healed if you can share a really intense experience that happened to you or a very toxic experience and rattle it off like a cupcake recipe, right? It's like there's no
Mhm.
emotion attached to it. Then you are healed from that experience. However, that doesn't mean that occasionally you are going to be triggered or that
Mhm.
wound is going to like when you're healed there's still a scab, right? You rip that
Yeah.
scab off then. But there's
Yeah.
still like for me when it comes to now I'm not afraid to speak in public, obviously. I'm not afraid to talk, with other people. I'm not afraid to be loud, be myself.
Mhm.
I'm not afraid of people hearing me. But like we
Mhm.
just said, if you shush me, ooh, baby, you're going to activate little Lisa. That's what we were just talking about, that inner
Yeah.
child, right?
Right.
Little Lisa is going to come to the surface and she's going to fight now. So in
Yeah.
that sense, yeah, I am healed because that little girl in me is like, oh no, you don't. We are not being shushed again. No
Yeah.
shushing is going to happen here. And I know a
Yeah.
lot of women who say this to me that they feel very triggered when somebody shushes them or tells them
Mhm.
to be quiet or keep their voice down. So, yeah, it's just a matter of understanding those triggers and then not letting it direct. Like I have to peace process, the whole healing technique that we do. If you're
Mhm.
interested in learning that, join Worthy Women Healing, and we will teach you how to, no matter what is going on, right? Say you're shushed and you're activated and you want to strangle the person that shushed you. You probably shouldn't strangle that person. But what are you going to do with all those intense feelings when
Yeah.
that little girl maybe comes to the surface?
Yeah.
You get out of your mind, you go in your body and you heal it, and we heal it super quick. I mean,
Mhm.
how many times do I tell you when you come to me in an emotionally activated state? Did you peace
Yeah.
process that? Did you heal that?
No. I don't want
Yeah,
to.
that's a great question. And if you look at it like healing's like a journey, not a destination, you'll be able to handle you won't be so hard on yourself. I thought I was
Yeah.
healed from that.
Yeah. Yeah, that's really good. And because my next question was gonna be, like, what does healing mean to you? But you kind of already answered that with what you just said. So it's very, like, layered. There's a lot to it.
Yeah.
Um, okay. why do you feel called to serve the type of women that you do?
I think it's because of my just own experience of feeling silence. There's nothing worse than suffering in silence.
Mm-hmm.
And the devil wants to cloak us in shame, which keeps us silent.
Mm-hmm.
And that is just, that is just the worst feeling in the world, to feel alone and to feel like you're suffering in silence, and there's no hope, there's no light, like you're just kind of slowly dying inside for whatever it might be, right?
Yeah.
Like abuse, trauma, like everybody has trauma, right? If you're walking around the world and breathing, you have trauma. It's just trauma's on a continuum. Yeah. Some people, what affected me might not affect you at all. And so I just have this passion for helping women heal, to stop reacting emotionally, right? To stop showing up in their life afraid to speak out, afraid to share their story. And, obviously, I started off as a personal trainer.
Yeah.
And women that come to me a lot of times are like me. They tend to have extra fluff on their body.
Yeah.
And that's really a protective thing, right? There's something going on underneath all the layers of fat. That's the subtitle to Portal Tears, my book. Drowning the demons beneath the fat to keep the weight from coming back. But the weight is really internal. It's not external.
Yeah.
So does that answer your question? I don't even remember the question. What the hell is the question?
No, that's really good. No, you answered it. Absolutely.
Well, this was fun being interviewed by you. And you guys, we're going to do this a lot more. If there's any topics relating to mothers and daughters that you're interested in, healing that mother wound or that daughter wound or whatever wound you have, right?
Yeah.
Just drop in comments if there's a topic that you would like Elliana and I to discuss. And you've got a 55-year-old and a 21-year-old. So you've got, a wide variety of experience there that we would love to just help you along your healing journey. So we always end with, actually, before I do that, Steve, go ahead and put up on the screen Worthy Woman Healing Group so that they can join. We're going to let you join for half off for this particular episode. We're going to have this promotion go for a week just because we would like to see as many mothers and daughters, or mothers or daughters that need a mother figure in their life, right? Yeah. Also, just need support, just want to heal alongside of everybody. And Elliana happens to be the Worthy Woman Healing Minister. She's really good at praying over people. So I would actually love to end. I know I did not warn you about this at all.
No, you did not.
But I would love for you to just do a quick prayer over women watching right now who maybe just need a little extra loving on them because of whatever they're going through.
Yeah. Lord, I thank you for this podcast. I thank you for the time that Mom and I spent talking and just getting to interview her and talk about what we do. And I just pray over all of the women watching. I pray that their hearts may just be softened by you, and that they may experience healing, and that you just protect them and lead them and to become the woman that you created them to be. And I just thank you for each and every one of them that you bring to us to help heal. And I just pray that they feel loved and that they know that they are worth it. In Jesus' name. Amen.
I love that you ended with "you are worth it." So let's do it on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. You
are worth
it.